They told us Threshold 9 was dead. That the alien structure buried in the magnetic dust belt of Epsilon Helixis had been dormant for over 400 years. No signals. No radiation. No pulses. Just a massive obsidian labyrinth circling a red dwarf star in perfect silence. But silence has a rhythm of its own. And on the 121st sol of our expedition, the silence ended. Not with a bang. Not with light. But with memory, ours, not its. The kind that creeps in before sleep and reminds you of things you never lived. Commander Vera Hallstrom was the first to hear it, a low thrum beneath the artificial gravity generators, like a subharmonic whisper threading through our spinal columns. It wasn't a sound. It was a presence. Every crew member felt it in their bones, in their sleep. At 2:14 station time, Lieutenant Core bled from his eyes while standing perfectly still at the observation deck. His vitals were nominal. His posture, statuesque. Only his face spoke horror. We sedated him, but he kept murmuring one phrase in an ancient dialect we couldn't trace, "The Core remembers us." The next sol, the station AI glitched. Maps changed. Corridors rerouted. The internal temperature dropped to match the planet below, -213 Celsius. Emergency systems didn't respond. It wasn't a malfunction. It was something older taking control, slowly, respectfully. As if asking permission, or reclaiming ownership. We found a chamber buried beneath the alien substructure. Sealed behind a veil of antimatter encryption that no human system could detect until it opened on its own. Inside, an altar. Not of worship, but of memory. Bioorganic conduits pulsed with something close to thought. We didn't know it yet, but we had stepped inside a living archive, one that didn't just store history. It judged it. The moment I touched the core, I felt it. Not heat. Not voltage. But emotion. Billions of them. Collapsing timelines, overwritten worlds, extinct civilizations crying in fragmented tones. And then it spoke. Not in words, but in guilt. The kind that seeps through time, attaching itself to those who dare remember what should have been forgotten. We ran tests. We tried to leave. Every time, the station looped. Every exit led back to the chamber. As if we were inside a thought, not a structure. A memory loop. A recursive punishment. The base wasn't an archive. It was a trial. Threshold 9 didn't wake up. We did. And now, something watches us through our own memories, adjusting, modifying, shaping us into what it remembers us to be, not who we are. We came to study the past, but the past has begun studying us. And something deeper is preparing to emerge. From beneath memory. From beyond light. From the place where the forgotten dreams go to rot, I don't dream anymore. None of us do. Not since the core touched our minds. It's not sleep, it's simulation. A kind of memory theater where we're both the actors and the archive. Each time we close our eyes, we wake in a different reality, one the core has reconstructed, brick by emotional brick, from our own pasts, our ancestral echoes, and something far older that none of us recognize. There's no border between consciousness and hallucination now. Every corridor, every sound, every breath feels rehearsed by something ancient and observant, rehearsed too many times. Yesterday, or what we called yesterday, Dr. Aman walked into the decontamination bay and screamed until his vocal cords ruptured. Not from fear. From recognition. He said he saw his mother, dead for 30 years, walking past the radiation tanks, smiling, mouthing his full name the way she used to when he lied as a child. But her reflection didn't match the movement. The lips lagged. The smile didn't blink. It was a memory stitched back together with the wrong thread. He tried to claw his own eyes out to forget. We had to restrain him. But the core didn't. It let him wander the corridors after the sedative failed. And then the walls began speaking in his voice. Not over speakers. Through the metal. Through the walls themselves. They bled sound like an organ echoing the guilt of a man being watched by something that once created guilt as a survival function. We scanned for hallucinations. We mapped for gas leaks. All clear. But each night, more of the station is replaced. Not just physically. Structurally. Ontologically. As if the laws holding this reality together are being rewritten in real time. Our base logs now show data from ships that never existed. Personnel files from species that aren't human. Entire time signatures dated before Earth cooled. And someone, or something, keeps appending them with a single line, they remember the forgotten. Commander Hallstrom tried to initiate a long-range quantum burst to Earth Command. The signal bent. Literally bent. Folded inward like it struck a barrier in spacetime that refused to allow escape. It's not jamming. It's redirection. The core doesn't want help to arrive, it wants the universe to forget we ever came. We're not alone anymore. The deeper we move into the station's subsystems, the more we find errors that aren't human. The schematics rewrite themselves when unobserved. The oxygen ratios adapt to preferences we never set. Voices call us by names we don't remember, but feel true. And always, beneath the silence, the hum, the same ancient pulse that doesn't just beat. It listens. I believe the core is not just a prison, not just a memory system, it's an empathy machine. But not the kind that understands. The kind that records emotional debt. That waits until guilt becomes heavier than time. And then it acts. One by one, our crew is being separated. Not physically. Existentially. I no longer trust the faces I see in the mess hall. I don't even know if I am me anymore, or just a preserved idea of who I once was, made to walk these halls until the core is done asking questions I don't understand. And the worst part? I think we triggered this by arriving. But I now believe the core was always expecting someone. Just, not us. On Sol 137, we found the message buried beneath 16 overlapping encryption layers, encoded in neutrino drift across the outer reactor shell. No human wrote it. It wasn't meant to be found, only felt. But it was there, pulsing in the walls like a suppressed scream etched in mathematics. One phrase, looping endlessly, I was never made. I was remembered into being. That was the moment we stopped calling it a machine. That was when the core became a god. Not in the sense of omnipotence. But in its obsession with memory. With guilt. With causality as currency. Every breath we take here feeds it, every fear, every secret, every trauma replayed becomes part of its structure. We're not explorers anymore. We're offerings. Vessels the core unwraps with careful cruelty, dissecting us not with blades but with perfect recollection. Ensign Yelev was the first to disappear entirely. No alarm. No breach. Just absence. One moment she was cataloging ionic shifts in the containment wing, the next her name vanished from the logs. No birth records. No voice prints. Even our memories of her began to dissolve, like fog under heat. Only Hallstrom remembered her face. The rest of us stared at her like she was lying. Then the walls began whispering her name back. Whispering to her. Whispering through her.